All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. If you guys are seeing us, it is Thursday, which means it is not Tuesday. Tuesday's a normal stream, but Thursday means we're picking another barrel. So thanks for dropping by, everyone. I am joined with John, who's a face to you guys. Oh, yeah. Fuck, we are facing off with the NFL. John, who's joined with us quite typically, you see him all the time. And you guys know this, that we have a third guest. Welcome, Mike. Let me see if I can say this right. Prepreledush.
That's right. Yep.
Hell yeah. All right, cool.
Outstanding.
Yeah, if you've been on our Bourbon for more than about 30 seconds, you've seen him right. You know that he likes to bump the 10K character max with great frequency, which is awesome. We don't get a lot of detailed posts all the time, so that's great. You know his love for barrel spirits and also for MGP, which is why he's joining us tonight to pick a part of a Smooth Ambler. Oh shoot, that's out of focus. We're gonna pick one or two Smooth Ambler barrels for our bourbon. So I think that that caps off the intro here. Why don't you lead in, Mike? How's it going?
Very good. I was outside throwing some baseball with my son tonight. Then I told everyone, "Hey, I'm going to be on this barrel pick," and they said in the middle of a football game, and I said, "I guess so." So we're watching it a little bit. My son wanted to stay up, and I said, "Nope, can't do it. I have to drink bourbon, and you have to go to bed." So
I'll take it. This doesn't sound ridiculous, but who's playing tonight? Or is it like everybody's playing tonight?
There's one game. It's Texans and the Chiefs.
Okay. I'm not a football person if you didn't gather by that.
Well, that's fine. It's really okay.
Cool.
Who would you root for anyway? Green Bay?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Seattle, so I'm a Seahawks fan, but they've been taken pretty hard, so.
Okay.
But,
I think my picture and our bourbon is me with a Cleveland Browns shirt on. So I don't know if people can see that or not, but
you're right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We were able to send him off a sample kit. John has a sample kit. I have a sample kit. Smooth Ambler was good enough to get us some barrels. We have 5 barrels to pick from. We can take up to 2 of them tonight, which is kind of cool. This is all 5 to 6 year MGP bourbon. They did Dickel for a couple of years. I guess really just about a year, maybe 18 months or so. The public, I think, outcried pretty heavily. I heard some rioting in the streets. So they went back to MGP after a little sit with Dickel. So we're picking 2 MGP barrels tonight. John, if you want to introduce yourself, and then maybe we'll start drinking some bourbon.
Absolutely. Well, welcome back to another semi-weekly whiskey stream here. As Jay said, we're not doing our normal Tuesday night programming right now because we're still drinking whiskey, but we're going to pick some out. John with the Bourbon Finder, and hopefully we can get some of these things dialed in and pick out a couple of good ones here.
Yeah, so a good question Hokie had in the comments there. So all of these are coming straight from the barrel. I will let's see if we can get it. All of these went in the barrel at 120, so they will be north of 120s. They spent a couple of years aging. I don't have raw proof that I'm aware of here. Yeah, that'll get pulled at the time of dump. So these should all be north of 120. I'd guess probably 125, 127 from what I know about Smooth Ambler. So not crazy high, but right around the same point as Knob Creek. I went ahead. I sent all the samples to Mike and to John blind. So they don't know what any of them are. I know what they are. They know, what it is, MGP bourbon, but the age is pretty much the differentiating factor. These are all the same mash bill. So pretty much a different age, different barrel. And we'll see what comes out.
Do we know what mash bill, by the way? I heard you guys saying that they were the same.
I know that they're congruent. I would have to double check. I have it in my email inbox, but that's on a different computer. I try and do these like a little bit blind. It's kind of hard. Like usually a distributor sends me samples and I'm like, cool, I don't know anything. But in this case, I got the boxes. So if you guys want any Smooth Ambler contradiction coasters, I'd be happy to send them to you because I will never use them myself. But like the box is pretty cool. It like comes with some coasters and it comes with a little pamphlet and like you can like pull up this handle and all the samples pop up, but you get contradiction coasters as a consolation.
Are we allowed to say what box that you sent my samples in? Is it a blasphemy? To say it?
No, I think you guys both got your samples in the same box, just from different sizes.
from Heaven Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was running around crazy because I was like, oh, I'll send these on Monday. And I woke up on Monday and I was like, oh no,
Had no
it's a
boxes.
holiday. And I was like, I don't have any boxes. And I was like, oh, thank God Heaven Hill has sent me stuff lately. Because I mean, those work great. They were super heavy duty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
the
box.
magnetic fastening helps too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers,
I was
Dale.
saving them because I moved soon. And I was like, oh, I'll just stash some samples in these. And I was like, no, these got to go. I got to use this to get these to John and Mike. So yeah, welcome, Dale. Cool. I think without any further ado, what do you say? Should we taste some bourbon?
Let's do it.
I already was.
Yeah.
Well, same, yeah. I was finished. I had a little Buffalo Trace storm up, but I think that I'll move on to the MGP stuff here. I think it's all. I was trying. I tasted these a tiny bit last night, but not a huge whole lot.
Just like a little warm up, a pre-tasting.
Yeah, I was like, I can't have white wine as a warm up.
Well, I mean,
No.
you can. It's a prelude.
All right.
Man,
That's our
if you
show,
heard
folks.
the amount of take jokes I heard in like a day with this guy.
Oh, it's a lot, and it's bad.
Oh boy.
I don't think anybody told us in chat what they were drinking tonight, and I'm borderline offended by that.
Oh boy.
I'd hope it's MGP.
I warmed up with MGP myself. I had a Desert Jewel just because
Nice.
I knew it was lower proof and it wasn't going to wash anything out when we started to do these tastings.
That's a Smoke Wagon, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. I believe it or not, have yet to have any Smoke Wagon whatsoever.
Oh man, they need to start hitting the Midwest. I'll tell you what, because
really do.
you know
Coming.
both coasts get them, but not us. Would you say Wisconsin's in the Midwest? By the way,
I call it the Midwest just because I've lived on the East Coast and the West Coast, and Wisconsin's in the middle, so that makes
Yeah.
sense.
True.
It's Midwest to me.
From Maine, everybody is either south or west. So
yeah.
Or
Are
west.
you in Maine?
yeah,
Very nice. I've been there once. I've been to Kennebunkport.
good town.
Yeah.
Real good summer spot.
Oh man.
I already know which ones we're picking.
Oh really?
I haven't even tasted the last one yet.
I have. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I did like a huge tasting last night, and I tasted these like in the middle of like I don't know, like 20 other things. I was like, oh, these all smell pretty good.
Mhm.
These
But,
are all great.
Yeah, let's see. I got sample one up here, doing a quick sniff test. But sample one, I'll give you guys some
James
info
K's in
on
the tub.
The tub.
Climb right into the tub. Thursday night tub's a good idea.
That might be my new blind send out because it's $20 and I think everyone will like it.
Yeah. GW Dant fan. Good job, Hokey.
You guys ever reset your nose when you're tasting,
Yeah.
or can your nose switch between similar products pretty well?
I typically will do it if I'm like tasting if I'm tasting like a bunch of different things. When I barrel pick, I kind of like to have everything all glumped in together. But
Is
that's
that the
just
technical
me.
term, glump?
I think a glump is the word that scientists would use.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, I mean, if I'm tasting or smelling something that's off, I'll try to reset. Whether that's like smelling the back of your hand or, going in and grabbing a cracker or some water, like anything like that. But typically, especially when it's like a barrel selection, when it's going to be a bunch of things that are really similar, I kind of like to go back and forth. We also sometimes like to use mineral water.
I'm a big
yeah?
mineral water person. That's what kind of washes my palate. That and like a really fatty cheese, I like Gruyere. That'll work if there's a lot of tasting to do. But that's
You'll
about
see
it.
me smelling my armpit a little bit here. So I was outside, like I said, playing baseball with the sun. So it's ready for me.
A good familiar scent. That's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. I find that contrasting smells and flavors, do it for me to kind of reset more than likewise.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, cool. So I just picked up sample one. I smelled through the 5, but this one's a little younger than I think I picked up on it. I would have expected, but not too bad. A little bit of ethanol.
Yeah, for a lot of these younger MGPs, if the barrel's right, I have a real hard time in blinds determining the age of it. Like I can usually nail down this is MGP, but some 5 or 6 year old stuff, I'll say it's 10 to 12-year-old. And I don't know if that's just an issue with you smell so much and you kind of start blocking out raw ethanol notes like you just noted there or what. But yeah, sometimes it's an issue. But I don't mind it.
MGP is hard for me because between like that 5 and 10 years, sometimes it all blends together, which I think is probably a good problem to have. Like, oh man, this 5-year bourbon drank like a 10-year bourbon.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of places would probably kill for. For me, once MGP really takes on those heavy oak notes is when it really gets separated out. But I've been really impressed, even when we did the Penelope blend, like those were 3 to 6 year MGP, and some of them were drinking, mistakeably for maybe even 8 or 9 years.
I can see that. I have a backbone bourbon. I think it's back behind me, and it's a 3-year-old pick from right across the river from Cincinnati Depths, and they got a 3-year-old. Yeah, they got a 3-year-old one, and it came in at 135 proof, and it drinks. You can taste the proof, but it does not taste 3 years old. It is way up there in terms of how much it got from that barrel before it was, dumped.
That's crazy. I think probably the biggest benefactor that Chattanooga, I don't know if you've had anything from Chattanooga, but their stuff is drinking super old compared to what it really is. Like 2 to 3 year stuff is drinking like 6 or 8 maybe. And just like the way they're running things is fantastic.
Now, I listened to the Bourbon Pursuit podcast you're on where you were talking about Chattanooga got thrown in there, and I agree with it all. Full disclosure, Chattanooga, actually, they contacted me a year ago, and they said, hey, would you like a bottle? Actually, a bottle of their 91 and 111.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, sure, because it was something I can't get in Indiana.
Yep.
And I was not expecting anything good, and I was very impressed with it. And at first I kind of held it to myself, like, okay, let's see what other people say. And sure enough, they experienced it just like you. They said that it tastes above its age. And I think it has a lot to do with that, the special malt they use and how much they use of it, because it gives more sweetness and it really takes that edge off of, any young traits with ethanol or graininess. They did very well on it.
Absolutely. It's funny because the first Chattanooga I tasted it all was for their first ever barrel pick with Breaking Bourbon and Bourboner and stuff. And I was like, 2 years, 10 months, like, oh man, this is gonna be rough. And I was drinking and everyone laughs at me because I didn't open my samples beforehand. I was like opening them with a wrench and pliers, like as the camera was rolling. So like my first taste was legitimately on the camera. And yeah, I was blown away. So it's kind of cool to see what these places are doing. Like I think people have dialed in well that like 5 and 6 year old, even MGP can really excel. And people are doing better with younger. So,
oh yeah. So anybody who just jumped in, we are going through 5 different samples here. These are all. Do we know the age? 5 to 6? Is that what we said?
5 to 6 year MGP bourbon. Yep.
These are all 5 to 6 MGP. We're gonna be selecting potentially 2 of these, and we're just kind of getting into them now, nosing through, and seeing what we think of them.
Cool. So has everyone knows number 1? I know we were chitty chatty. I personally had a little taste.
Yeah, I've been through one.
Yeah.
What do we think so far?
Michael, let you take it.
Sure. For me, number 1, it had more sweet notes in it. Like I'm getting the dessert sweetness. There's vanillas. There's some caramels in it. And for me, MGP is king of like a brown sugar taste. This didn't exactly have it, but it was still, this didn't exactly have the brown sugar I was looking for. But when it came for the palate too, I got some sticky toffee out of it, which is real nice. But as far as number 1 goes, everything about it is good so far, but it's pretty run-of-the-mill MGP. So if we're looking for something a little bit different for the crowd, maybe number 1 is just more of a safe bet rather than one that, will really energize people out there. But we'll see what the rest go through. I've only started on number 3 myself, having even gotten to 4 and 5.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
what did you think?
I liked 1. It's definitely brighter, like much less oak, very like caramel, almost kind of like a faint hint of citrus. It's not musty. It's not like super oak forward, like cocoa tobacco, but it's certainly not bad. I thought from the nose, I was like, ooh, this is going to drink really, really hot. And it didn't on the palate, which was kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
A lot of vanilla bean, which I think MGP is very good at nailing just like, hey, this is dessert, at whatever proof and age, but yeah, certainly not bad. How about you, John?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same on 1 on the nose, thinking it smelled a little bit spicy, a little bit hot. And then it came into it. I don't mean spicy as in like a rye spice. I just mean like it was a little hot. Came into it with the palate, and it was just a little bit on the thinner side. It's probably a little bit younger. I did get a lot of that brighter layer of flavor, a little bit of fruit for me. It didn't quite get into the richer brown sugars or any like the brown butter type of stuff that I was kind of waiting to get out of some of these. So for this one, I think a standard, like you said, a very like fingerprint of MGP. Especially, I would tend to guess that this one's a little bit younger.
This one had a lot of corn to me. The corn, I think, was pretty evident.
Didn't bring a whole lot of oak, and it didn't really get into the darker spectrum of flavors.
Yeah. I can agree with all that too.
Cool. Number 2. Great question from Hokie there in the chat too.
Yeah, I'll get that.
I think while we're starting to sniff number 2, and this is my personal opinion, you guys can weigh in, but I think that people 5, 7, 9 years ago didn't use enough malt, and I think people are realizing that if you throw enough malt, in the mash bill and you put it in a very aggressive barrel, you can speed things up quite a bit. And I think that's what I would attribute it to. I mean, people obviously haven't figured out how to make time move faster, but I think changing up your mash bill and definitely picking more aggressively charred barrels, you're getting a lot more action right away.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of validity to that. And then on top of that, just the bar has been set so much higher too, that your smaller or craft distillery, even 5 years ago, could probably get away with making a product that today wouldn't quite sell. So with the bar being so much higher, they really got to they're going to hit the ground running, really. I mean, if they're not putting out something good at 2 or 3 years, they're not going to make it to 6 or 7, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. Hey, I have a comment on that too. I can't see his question too well. It's kind of tiny on the phone. But,
here, I'll give it to you real quick. Do you think there is something known in the industry that has led to younger craft being better, or just the ones who have figured it out rise faster with all the publicity of whiskey right now? That was a question from Hokie in the audience. Yeah.
So I got a real short answer on that too, but much like what you guys said, another thing that I found out was I did a review for Tom's Foolery, and it's in Chagrin, Ohio.
Yeah.
And up there, it's colder climate, like Driftless Glen too, and all that. But I found that if these guys are really going and getting consulting on the yeast to use, that they're able to find yeast almost that does better with extracting the flavors that the barrel's not going to be able to do in that colder climate, or making the flavors at the time of distilling. And I had Tom's Foolery even contact me and say, hey, we read your review. Sorry to hear you didn't like it. I really wanted to like it. I'm from Ohio, that's real close to where I'm from. And I couldn't give it any more than just a plain number 5. Like, that's middle of the road average. And it could have been so much more. They put so much detail into it, but they said that they played around with their yeast, and they played around with not sourcing GMO grain anymore, just regular run-of-the-mill grain. They said the results have been way better.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and that was just one of the things that I think is contributing more, because we've heard that Bourbon Pursuit podcast too, where it was like a yeast company came in and they talked about how much they get consulted, and it seems like a business is taking off and being known much more now than it was like 5 years ago when these other craft guys are starting.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
So
really
number
liked
two.
it.
Man, 2. So the nose is completely different on 2 until you drink it.
Hmm.
I'm curious
Yeah.
if you guys, I'll lead off here. I thought the nose was way better on 2, but it's
Yes.
so much hotter on the palate. It drinks like borderline fiery. But a lot more oak, a lot more tobacco, almost kind of like a spice drop, like a Regis too.
Yep, I'd agree with
The
that.
nose on
Definitely
this
get the
guy.
oak in there.
This one doesn't smell young. The first one, I was like, oh, okay, that smells pretty
Yeah.
young. The second one tastes, or at least smells, quite a bit older.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you
For
on that.
me, it's that nose is almost like those the cherry like Swisher Sweets, those little
Oh.
cigars, because
Yeah,
I
Yep.
can taste some fruit in there, but it's really mingled in with that heavier, like a tannin, like a tobacco type note. I get the oak, like
Yeah.
what you're saying, but for me, it's way darker on the nose in regards to that. And yeah, for me, you say it's drinking hotter, it's drinking spicier for me, like lots of like a spoonful of cinnamon, you know. But I this is more complex. It's very good. I mean, I've only had 3 so far, but
yeah, I totally agree. This is far more complex
one
than
of my
number
better
1.
ones. Yeah.
Whew. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I'd add to that, but really, I'm just going to be piggybacking on what you guys said. I think the nose on that one brings a lot more oak character and almost a little bit of mustiness, like a slight bit of funk, but in a good way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do think that there is a little bit more rye spice on the nose, and on the palate, it's just starting to get a little bit of that nice buttery mouthfeel to it.
This one
Yeah.
had a lot of nice oak on the palate too, which I think I was
Yep.
hoping out of 1, and it didn't show up. So okay, so overall more rich, a little more tannin, a little more savory. I don't think it is truly hotter. I think you're right. It is spicier on the palate. I think there's a lot more rye spice going on.
Yeah, it kicks up a little bit on that one, I think.
Noticeably too, I'm looking at 1 and 2 next to each other in color, and there's some pretty significant color. Which
I
think
noticed
is
that when I poured them.
interesting.
That two
number,
looked.
number 1 is very light.
Did water
Yeah.
sneak into number? Oh nope, it's just light. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, 5 from what I'm looking at. Well, 4 and 5, they look the darkest, but then again,
Oh,
I
I
guess
think you're
number
right.
2, I drank it down. So
Like I don't know, 5's pretty dark.
yeah,
I'm wondering what, and it's funny. So like these didn't come numbered for them. I just picked random samples and I was like, ha ha ha, and I threw a number on them because I poured all of your guys' samples. And I looked at them. I was like, shit, how am I going to keep these straight? So I penciled numbers on everything, which is interesting because as I'm looking at my desk, it looks like they go from lighter to darker, and maybe
was
that was
thinking
some
the
like
same thing.
subliminal thing. But I'm like, oh, that's interesting. 5's really dark, 4's pretty dark, 3's really dark, and number 1's pretty light. But yeah, why don't we let's see. I'll give you guys the ages at the end. I was like, maybe I'll do it as we go, but I'll lead off at the end. Yeah, 3 reminds me of 2 too.
Very similar. A little bit more of a sweet note on 3, but not. I mean, man, they're really close.
Three is tasting hotter to me than number 2, but the nose is nice. The nose has almost, if you could say what creamy smelled like.
Yeah,
I would say that's a little bit in the nose extra from what 2 was. So overall, I'd say if you put just 2 and 3 together, 2 would still probably be superior to 3, but
yeah, I think that the nose on 3, it like seems a little more integrated. Like instead of being like bam, 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 here's it seems a little more complex. But on the palate, yeah, ooh, that's spicy boy, and that almost burns going down too. That's a pretty hefty ethanol presence from the moment it hits your tongue.
Yeah,
I would guess that those are both 125 plus.
And I don't say that much either. This is this has ethanol. I used to say it, but kind of gets just forgotten by my tongue. But yeah, this one I can see that.
Yeah, I think 3 is probably the highest proof so far. I mean, it's really nice, but it's kind of like some of those really good Jack Daniel's single barrel proofs where you're like, this is amazing. Like all of me is on fire and it hurts, but like this is amazing.
I tell you what, that's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough. Those Jack Daniel's barrel proof ones, like,
Yep.
I have two, just phenomenal. I give them to people. They're like, what is this? And I'm not saying that they're like a top of all time, but they're the ones that really come out of left field, and everyone is just blown away by, oh, this is a barrel proof of Jack Daniel's.
Oh,
And
yeah.
did you see what they're doing this December with taking out the Heritage barrel? Did you see what they're replacing it with?
No, I don't think that I did.
They're replacing it with a barrel proof rye.
Oh, okay. I did hear about that one, which I'm super excited about because I know they did one run, but it was like micro and it was limited and I didn't get any.
Yeah, I've heard from just one person that got a 200 ml sample, and he was blown away. He said, when that comes to my shop, I'm keeping it all. I was like, you better not.
I mean, I think that's great. Like I've been hoping they do a barrel proof rye, and I've been a huge fan of the barrel proof bourbon they've been doing for a long time. And honestly, like people are like, aren't you mad that it's catching? I'm like, no, like the more of this they do, like they'll be encouraged to keep doing stuff like this. You know, they've been selling number 7 for a million years, but if they're encouraged, like, oh, like people love the single barrel proof, like, and it's the right price and stuff, like, you know, soon we'll get to see the barrel proof rye and maybe some other stuff. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, no, I do too.
All right. So I think, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I think 3 is hotter than 2. I think I like 2 better, but we got a second and then we'll move on to number 4. But
guys making notes as you do this, or just remembering? Or I can't see what you're doing off camera.
You don't want to see what we're doing off camera.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm writing down on a piece of paper, so just to keep track.
Yeah, it's nice. We record these too, so like I usually go back through and I transcribe and like write down some stuff. Yeah, I have a little bit left over of each of these. I'll probably do a final pass and take down some notes, but we'll go with whatever we pick tonight. But
yeah,
usually it's easier when I'm on like prem at a distillery. Like I have my little notepad and I'm like scribbling in the corner and stuff. But the live stream format's kind of fun because I mean we can replay this, so it's like, oh, what did he say? All right, scrub it back and stuff. Hey Joel, welcome.
I want to clarify. Are you in the corner and scribbling on your notepad, or are you scribbling on the corner of the notepad?
No, I mean, at least like when we were at New Riff, I was in front of the whiteboard, just kind of like scribbling something. People are like, what are you writing? It's so small. And all right, fine. We'll blow it up. But it's fun because like there, like once you leave, like you can never go back to what it is, which, it sucks that we can't go to distilleries right now, or you can, but not with enough people. And, I get there's complexities with COVID, but the streaming thing, it's kind of fun. Like when we did Russell's, we had a bunch of people talking about it and go back through and scrub through and listen and pause and stuff, which is fun. Cause when we left New Riff, I realized I like didn't have notes for one person. I had to like chase them down and get them to do their notes and stuff.
I'd like to publicly say I apologize for not being able to make New Riff. You said, hey man, what week works in October? I said, all of them. And my wife said, we're going on vacation. And I said, oh, when? And she told me, and I thought, there's no way, I've got like a 25% chance that he picks this week. And you did. And I was like, damn.
Oh, dude, it's fine. I mean, like I said, I'm glad we got you on tonight. And I mean, and the barrel program for our bourbon is growing. Like we did 1 barrel last year. We're doing 10 this year. We're doing more next year. There's going to be, I get it. Yeah. My fiance tells me stuff all the time I didn't know until it's time to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess we're doing this
a great time. Scott, ATX Bourbon told me he had a great time. I met up with Kogan a couple of weeks later. I was down in the Dayton area. And we grabbed a drink. Yeah, I grabbed a drink with him in Columbus, Ohio. I said, yeah, I'll drive. It was only an hour and 15 minutes or so. And went to this really cool bar, got charged $30 per drink for bookers. It was
Whoa.
it was something else, but he was a really fun guy to meet, and who would have thought, just meeting all these great people in our bourbon realm, and
That's the fun part of it too, like.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like when COVID's over, like it's fun to do this virtually, but I love meeting up with people, and like it's kind of weird because people are like, are you sure they're not going to kill you? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure, but we'll be in the public, and it's super fun because like you always get this picture, especially after talking for years on the internet. Like, I'm pretty sure this is what he looks like, and people show up and you're like, wow, you are not at all what I expected, but in a good way, which I think is fun.
Yeah.
So Jay, we had a question come in here from Hokey. Want to know if you turned down any barrels for our bourbon because they wouldn't do any samples or blind samples or not enough. And well, I mean, I'm just kind of reading it for everybody's benefit, but I'm sure you can see the rest of it there.
Yeah. So I mean, there's opportunities. Sometimes I reach out to tons and tons of distilleries every single year, and basically like, hey, can you facilitate this? And a lot of them will, we'll get to you eventually. And I say, oh, okay, that's fine. Or, they say, we'll send you one sample if and it's good enough, you can have it. And I'm like, I'm not super interested in that. So, but at this point, like we're well enough connected and our bourbon's well known in a very positive way in the industry, and our retail partners are very good. So I'm thankful to say that I haven't had to turn down many, especially lately, because they're happy to get us, 3 to 5 samples. And they're usually, if I say, hey, can you please blind them? Just send me 1 through 5. They're happy to accommodate. Like Smooth Ambler does things a little differently because we went through the retailer first. So they said, you're going to get the information. That doesn't really bother me since we're doing, I think probably 6 of the other ones this year blind. But we, if it's not up to snuff, it's easy enough to turn it down. And a lot of places have realized like, okay, if we can't meet their minimum criteria and we don't have like high in the sky standards. Like if you can get me 4 samples for a barrel pick or 3 samples, as long as like I'll never do a pick knowing that I'm locked into it, right? Like hey, I want to pick a barrel, but if I don't like it, I don't have to take it. Like if that's not on the table, then the whole pick's off. So I'd say we're pretty lucky that people are pretty flexible and they understand that we're not trying to get pigeonholed into a barrel that's not so good just because it's one we took, but we're pretty lucky on that.
Are we on 4?
Yeah, I think so. I just smelled 4, and I'll let you guys talk about it first, but I have some thoughts.
This is Sir Golf all day right here.
What did you say?
Sir Golf.
Have you watched Holy Moly?
Okay.
Oh, dude.
It won't work then.
Dude.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we'll give you like
ticking all my boxes.
Same.
It is damn
I came
good.
through all of these real quick earlier, and as soon as I get to 4, I was like, well, I want that one.
Yeah. I know we haven't done 5, but if 5 somehow rocks, then 4 replaces number 2 for my my second go-to. But for right now, it's banging.
Yeah,
it's
4's
very
great.
complex. It tastes way older than its age. Robust, complex. Everything you can think of.
This reminds me of those old low-proof Smooth Ambler Old Scouts from the first run they did. Like those 13-year barrels that were coming in at like 42% ABV. They were just like super rich and viscous.
Very rich. I like everything about this, man. This is like buttery type of like the Twix cookie a little bit going on with some nice dark oak, caramel, and everything in there, man. This is just nice.
Yeah. Easily a 10-year-old profile, I guess, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm all in on 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. Let's see. I don't know if the color is correlated quite right, but oh, yeah. You can see that. Let's see. Let me get my fat head out of there.
I was expecting because I was tasting that oak and that spice too. And I thought, nah, this isn't going to be sweet. Like it's going to be over oaked or something. And then the sweetness came through and I'm like, nope, it's all there. It's the full package.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. On the nose, I was like, man, this is going to be way too oaky. And on palate, like, oh, that's not too oaky at all.
No, man. She's nice. I am actually I just got offset for that. We wrapped earlier.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Oh, and the finish too. That has some longevity.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's dangerous too because it drinks like it's 43%, and I very strongly believe it's north of that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Whew. Okay. All right. I really like 2, but I think I like 4 a lot more.
I like 4.
Yeah.
Much
If
more.
if 5 is a complete stinker, we've got 4 and 2 at least. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
I'm excited for you to get into 5, Mike.
Yeah, 5 is super dark. So hey.
Oh, and it's different.
Oh yeah, it is.
Just on the nose.
Oh, yeah. 5 is no 2. This ain't your daddy's 5, okay?
God damn it.
I really like to get a real good one in right when you're about to take a drink.
Every time too. Like, I guess I haven't like snorted bourbon yet though, which I think is probably what you're going for.
I'm working on it.
You're trying to get there.
I'll get you. Yeah, the oak on the palate here.
You know what 5 kind of reminds me of on the nose, just smelling it? It smells like Heaven Hill in a way. I don't know if you guys get that, but yeah, just a little bit nutty. And I don't get that from MGP a lot.
I could dig that.
Yeah.
It has that red, and maybe it's because I've been drinking like an ass load of Old Fitzgerald lately because everything's been coming in and I have some old bottles. It almost has that like fruity weeder profile and like kind of like the older,
fruit. Yeah.
It's fruity, but it has that. It's not all fruity. Kind of like one was like very sweet and fruity, but this is very like mature old oak and fruits.
It's good. I mean, plenty of layers in here too. Real heavy caramel type of deal.
Oh yeah.
Working with the oak, it's a touch of spice. The sweetness comes through more on the palate than it does the nose.
5 is like our oddball barrel that is so unique. And I mean, if we wanted to pick classic MGP, 4 is way up there. It's our top probably, but 5 is the one for the guys that like barrel bourbon. No, not really, but it's something different.
Jesus.
Come on, Tate. God damn it.
Once you said barrel, I was like, no. No, I like it. I mean, that's like the most off-profile MGP I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
In like a good way.
That's
not
a creature,
like,
man.
Ooh.
That could be.
I wish they'd tell us the warehouses it came from, and I know nobody knows warehouses. Like Rare Bird 101 has extensively documented wild turkey warehouses, and I know there are groups out there that have documented the Four Roses warehouses, and I'm actually learning those too, by the way, and they're it's super interesting. But MGP, except for a Smoke Wagon's owner that Aaron, that goes out and says, I got it from this warehouse and this floor, and he acts like he knows what he's talking about. And I've asked him before, I'm like, tell me more, and he doesn't. And I'm like, no, god damn it, we want to know more. We want to know because their buildings are brick, their floors are concrete, they're designed to be individual rick houses, every single floor. And there shouldn't be much variation, but we know there is. And that article I wrote where he said, my inside source said, if it's close to Tanner's Creek, it's going to get more humidity. The barrels are going to lose more proof. They're going to be a little bit different. I just want to know, where did 5 come from on this? Because it's way different. It doesn't taste like it came from the same warehouse that 1 through 4 did even, maybe did it come from that new warehouse and I forget where I said in Indiana. It was like way off campus. There's one even in Kentucky, but this is really unique, really interesting stuff.
It's interesting because MGP is kind of the black box. Like, you put money in and MGP bourbon comes out, and like you kind of don't know until you taste it, which is half the fun. And maybe that's for the better. Like, I know a lot of people that like super hype certain warehouses of turkey just because it has some opinion behind it. But 5 is clearly not cut from the same cloth as 2 to 4. And I think 1's just young. I think 1 could probably fit in with 2 to 4 as well. It's just on the younger side.
Yeah.
Good question from Hokey too. I'll hit that one really quick. Our bourbon's interesting. We have the luxury of picking a lot of barrels, and we're going to pick a lot more. Typically, it's a distillery when we get 1 barrel, right? Like it'd be kind of weird to be like, well, this is our first Driftless Glen. Let's pick the most bizarre spirit they've ever put in a barrel, ha ha ha. For here, I think and I won't speak for the other guys, but I think it would be very reasonable to pick like a super on profile product, and then also one that's maybe interesting, and then people have a choice. But most distilleries just let us do 1. Sometimes we do 2. Like we did the 2 at Wild Turkey. They were just too good to let go, so we took 2 of them. But I like to see, and this is why we have panels, right? Like it's fun to see what people think is best, and we go with what's best. If it's best and it's on profile, that's awesome. If it's best and it's off profile, I think that's great too. But I know a lot of groups try and pick the weirdest, most off profile barrels all the time, and I don't really think that fits the ethos.
Yeah,
I think
that's very true.
It's a multifaceted approach too. I mean, obviously the first checkbox is, does this smell right? Is the nose good? Does it taste all right? And if you kind of get those 2, then you can sort of like move on. Otherwise, it's just going to be like, well, let's set this one aside and move on to the next sample. Because ultimately, when you're choosing whiskey for enthusiasts, you want to make sure, damn sure, really, that what you're picking is going to be not just like, oh, hey, this is a 5 out of 10. Or maybe it might be a 6 on some days. Like you want to pick something that you're just like, oh, yeah, I feel as though I could give this to 2 or 3 of my enthusiast buddies and they would objectively think that it is good. Like this is an example of good whiskey.
Yeah, or I find the sniff test for me is always, will you open your wallet? Like everyone's like, oh man, I love this. All right, would you pay money for it? And they're like, ooh. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Why
say you love it if you won't buy it?
Yeah, and I think I mean it. At the end of the day, it's not about selling barrels. Like the demand is super outpacing supply. So like we could pick anything and it would sell. But I think asking the panel like, hey, is this good enough that you would buy it? And they're like, maybe not. Or if they're like hell yeah, I'd buy 2 if I could. I'm like, all right, well you get 1, but stuff like that. But I think that's an interesting way to delineate it too, because like, oh, this is the most interesting thing I've ever had from here. And I'm like, would you buy it? And they're like, ah, hell no. And I'm like, all right, we're not paying that. Like that makes no sense. Like you want other people to buy it, like, and that's the fun thing too. Like no one gets free booze. Like, and Mike's on here. He's gonna get a shot at one of these bottles. That's one of the things. Like, if you're on the panel, you get to buy one, but like no one's getting free booze out the wazoo for picking this stuff. So like, all of us panels have to be like, am I going to open my wallet to buy this? And if the answer is yes, like that's awesome. Then we picked a great barrel because, this isn't a job for any of us. At the end of the day, we're just picking barrels so that we can go and buy them ourselves and drink some awesome bourbon.
Yeah.
So let's talk about maybe eliminating one of these samples. Start narrowing this down.
I think I know what I'd eliminate, but I'll let you guys start.
Yeah. 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just too young. It tastes super young. Yeah. It doesn't have the mouthfeel or the finish. It tastes like corn.
Nothing wrong with it. I mean, easily 4 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10. No big deal. I don't think there was anything that I didn't like out of it. But as I went up the ladder here, it's like the complexity. Like you somehow perfectly ordered these. Because as I kind of went through the order here, there was more complexity. The flavors get more rich.
I think that's awesome. The best part was like, you guys didn't see me packing these up, and it was like 10:50 on Tuesday morning, and I was like, I got to get these to FedEx as fast as possible. And it was like wrapping paper like flying everywhere, and I'm like,
nice.
All right, remember to wash the funnel, and stuff like that. And then I literally left this mess. My fiance was like, I thought you were gonna clean this up, and I was like, later, there's no time now. And I like drove to FedEx.
There'll be time for that another time.
I can clean up whenever. These just have to get to FedEx by 2 p.m. But yeah. So I think, okay, so that leaves us with 2 to 5. So 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Mike, would you like to do the honors?
I'm kind of ruling out number 3. Just because I have my hopes set on number 2 and number 5 as being our second pick. That's just my opinion, but man, I go back to number 2 and I smell them side by side with 5.
Okay.
And wow, number 2 is softer, but It just got sweeter all of a sudden. Number 5 is still, it's heavy hitting, it's unique.
I agree
I
with
don't
you.
know. Just my
So
opinion.
I think. So are there any of these that we think will unseat number 4? I just went back through them again. Or maybe we'll crown
No.
our number 1 at the end, but I don't know. I really like number 4.
Yeah. Me
4
too.
is in the flight for me.
Yeah. Everyone that buys 4 would be happy with 4. They'd say, awesome pick, drinks above its age, complex, everything we wanted. But
Oh, yeah.
I think the question is, are we going to go with a number 2, which is terrific all around, or number 5, which is unique and makes you think about it? I think that's one of our big points that we got to consider now.
So we're going to do a 2 to 5 head to head here.
I think that's it. Yeah. So I like 3 too, but I think I'm like all in on number 4 is barrel number 1, like the on
Same.
profile MGP that like just like crushes it.
The first sip I took of number 4 was just instantly registered with me. Like, okay, this is one that I know I want.
Mhm.
It is that good right off the bat. Better. It
Good.
stands out a good amount from all the ones before it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the battle's on between 2, 3, and 5, but I think we can
I'd say
discount
throw
3.
3 out.
Okay. Should we throw 3 out?
Yeah, I'm very fine with that.
Okay.
I think between 2
It
and
wasn't
5.
bad, but I think 2 and 3 had a very similar profile, and 2 nailed it better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
That was a good question too from Joji. I apologize. I saw that and I did not answer it, but we don't know. We don't know. We don't know where these came from. I will do my best to ask Smooth Ambler where they came from, and I expect that I won't get a good answer.
There is also that to consider, dude.
I
All right,
honestly
so we're
don't
down
know.
to
People know.
samples
we're-
2 and 5
2 and 5.
out of 5 total samples.
You gotta like double nostril it, like.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I was on a Zoom with Nancy Fraley recently, and she taught us the passing it from one nostril to another, and how
Yeah, it's amazing how different they are.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
One nostril picks up on like lighter scents, the other heavier scents. It's very weird. It's super unique.
It's something someone told me that like 3 years ago, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
And then I did. I was like,
Get outta
and it's
here.
funny because like I get maybe like 30% less out of my right nostril in general. Like I don't know if it's a sinus thing. I don't know if it's because
Yeah.
I busted my nose as a kid, but like, it's really interesting. Like your olfactory perception from side to side is just hugely swayed.
Oh,
Oh, hey, John.
John, how are you, sir?
Hello.
Oh, now we're gonna get some questions answered. Here we go.
There we go. All
Get
right,
the man in
so
the house now.
2 in the left hand, 5 in the right hand.
Man, I'm telling you, my mind has been made up since very early on.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna let you guys duke it out, and then if we need a tiebreaker, I'll weigh in. But I know where I'm at with these. DJ, how are you, man? Good to see you.
Welcome, David.
I'm just gonna smash my microphone real quick. Disregard that.
That's okay. I matched mine with the Topo Chico bottle earlier, and I was like, oh boy.
So we're just coming down to the final selection here with these 5 samples. We've narrowed it down to, we have one selected that we have totally agreed on, and we're kind of narrowing down between 2 of them, comparing and seeing where we end up. And well, I guess we'll come up with our final selection, but it looks like we're going to go with 2 of these.
Yeah, I think that there's 2 of these that I definitely want to take. So I don't know if you guys agree or not, but
I
we
got
just
an
get three?
idea. Hey, Tate, do you have a piece of paper?
I do. Should I get a pen?
Yeah, write down your number, and we'll both show it at the camera at the same time to see if we match up.
Ooh, this
Okay,
is
wait.
high stakes. I'm
I'll
so into
write
it.
mine down as well.
This
That
is
way,
like when
if
we
a tiebreaker is needed, I'm going to be
blind
using
guess
the branded Rare Bird 101
Ooh.
Oh, nice! Wow.
mug sheets here.
All right. So I'll put mine in the Four Roses Private Select Program book.
Dude, you guys make me look terrible. I'm gonna put mine on the back of the optometrist prescription I got today.
Hey, it could be
Right
an
before
Olive
this.
Garden napkin. You know, who knows?
Bringing new meaning to back of the napkin math.
I hope we get quorum. I kind of doubt it, but I hope we get it.
All right. Are we ready?
All right, 1, 2, 3.
I can't see yours.
Oh,
I
mine's
can't see what in the hell you're doing.
mine's a 5. Shit.
Oh,
Gotta
it's Sir
focus.
Goph has to weigh in here.
Oh, you would. Hopefully, you can see. There we go. There's my
That's
5.
an acorn and a apple
I
pie.
have
Okay.
two.
Acorn and a pine nut.
Oh,
All
that's
right, so we need a
4.
tiebreaker here.
Okay, the tiebreaker has been decided as 5.
Oh,
Oh, nice. All right,
Oh,
all
man.
right.
honestly, it's a toss up between the two. I would not be sad drinking number 2 either.
No, that's why
Yeah.
I was saying, like, can we just get 3? Because, I mean, 2, it does work in a lot of ways, but for me, that the depth on 5 excited me pretty early on. The 4 and 5, as soon as I get into them, I knew they were my favorite of the lot.
Definitely. Oh man. Okay. Cool.
So here's why I went with 2 at the last minute.
Yeah, hit me.
I love 5. Okay, 5 is unique, and if you ever took me on a barrel pick, you'd be like, "What is he doing? He's picking the most off the wall stuff." But when it came down to it, number 5, it tasted like I said, Heaven Hill, but it tasted like a cross between like a Henry McKenna, a real good one, and a 10-year-old, and like an ECBP. Okay, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
Okay.
But if we wanted to exemplify, I guess, what MGP was all about, number 2 was just more there. But number 5 still real good. It's just when people drink it, they might say, "Is this MGP?" They'll love it, but it's
Have to look
that
twice.
much- that's that much different that they would, it's polarizing. I like it too. You know, I'm not going to say there's a loser in any of this, but
Yeah, that's a
Great
good
job.
point. So with 5 for me, I've had new riff picks that do the same thing where it's like, man, I can't tell if this is like a Heaven Hill product or a turkey product or like, geez, it almost reminds me of a beam product. And you kind of like
Yeah.
bounce back and forth on what actually is this? Like, it doesn't have a super clear identity. I like everything about it, but I couldn't tell you where the hell it came from.
yeah,
And 5 is definitely that. I agree with you. It for me was sort of a little bit of a Heaven Hill and a turkey mix in profile, but it was all of the good things from each. And as soon as I got into them, I was just excited about it. So that was for me very early on. 4 and 5 were the winners.
Good.
okay, nice.
Yeah, like I said, I think I even texted John last night because I was like tasting through a bunch of stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, tomorrow's gonna be awesome!" Like, oh, like, yeah, I think so. All right, so selection, we're going with 4 as first barrel on profile MGP, and 5 as a little bit of the funkier side, the dark side of the moon.
Ooh,
Nice.
I like that.
Honestly, I would have been really tempted to grab 2 if the retailer had been like, take 3.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
um,
If that was an option, I would say let's pick up 2 as well, because you're right. I mean, that thing is spot on for a very quality, middle age MGP, meaning like not quite up to that 6 to 8. But man, is it checks a lot of boxes, and it gets that nice spice on the back end too.
yeah.
man, and going back to 4, this is just like,
Oh yeah.
I'm
4 is-
saving 4 for the end here. I'm real excited about that.
cool. So, you guys want to know the ages of these?
Oh yeah, let's
These
get
will
the,
give you-
the
Hear
stat.
it.
Give you something instead of teasing. All right, so we'll go number 1. This is probably interesting. Was distilled on April 30th of 2015. So that puts it pretty much 5 years, 5 years, 4 months.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
over.
So not bad. I was like I was kind of surprised. It tasted a lot younger than I thought than 5 years. You know,
Yeah,
not
you could have told me
necessarily
that was
bad.
3 and I'd buy it.
Yeah, so sample number 2 was distilled on October 17th of 2014, so really close to 6 years old.
Wow.
You know, coming up just over 30 days now. I guess like 37-ish. Sample number 3 was distilled on 11/18 of 2014, so a little bit younger still by about a month, which
Man,
surprised
those are
me.
so similar.
Because 3, I mean, yeah, they were super similar. But I would have given the nod to 3 being a little bit younger. And I know a month is super hard to perceive, but
Right, yeah.
let's see, number 4, the monster here, the grand finale winner was October 14th of 2014 as well. So just shy of 6 years.
Yeah, man,
Nice.
that one is rich and buttery.
Yeah.
Whatever was going on with number 4, I want more of it.
Can you make
And
sure
then-
that you know which one is for between the 2 picks, so we can make sure we get a really good course marshal, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And also, Mike, can you please start
Mike,
watching
we'll make sure
Holy
you.
Moly?
Yeah, we'll make sure you watch Holy Moly.
I will.
Oh man. Yeah, I think that'd be a great sticker. Yeah. And for those of you that are curious, I'll make sure that these are well notated so people know what profile they're getting. And sample number 5, our runner-up, or not runner-up, but our second barrel, kind of the off-profile pick, was May 31st of 2015. So 5.5 years. So we basically picked between that sweet spot of 5.5 and a month shy of 6 years, which I'm pretty excited about.
Very cool.
That's super
Damn.
cool. Their stuff is coming up to 6 years old, and we'll see that in the on the label soon.
Yeah,
Very
I think
neat.
it's all the better for it too. I mean, I did a bunch of picks around 5 years and I thought those were good, but the complexity, even just in that extra 9 months, has made is really impressive.
Yeah, most notably, probably one more summer in there, so that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think too, I know that we had, let's see, John Foster. If you're still around, I would love to know if we can figure out which MGP warehouse, rickhouse these came from. And I understand that's probably going to be NDA'd, but there's any opportunity to find out, I'd be super curious.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be a tonight answer either way, because that would definitely take a little bit of tracking down. But
Yeah.
I'll send the email to ask, but
yeah, it
I
would
think
be
that'd
very
be super interesting.
Yeah, it'd be very cool to be able to track some of these back.
Especially if it's something new, like one of the new warehouse acquisitions they did. That would be a tell-all. Hey, this is a good climate, a good area in the country.
Yeah.
They're not too far apart, any of them, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. What does their original campus warehouses do that these other warehouses they've acquired, not do or do better? Very
Absolutely.
interesting. I've
even
Google
like-
mapped all of them, and they're all like a hard structure. They're not like wood or anything. They're either
Okay.
concrete on the outside or brick or concrete brick. Yeah, it's very interesting. I got to know all this stuff. I love their
I know,
stuff.
Gotta have the dirty details, man.
Yeah.
See, I'm just gonna notate these here, but yeah, I mean, I'm just super impressed, like how different the profile is in like a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love
Very
to get to MGP. Like people always ask me, who, like, what master distiller would you like to hang out with? And I'm kind of like, I'd love to hang out with a master blender more. And I mean, just I have to imagine the scale of the warehousing and management that's going on at MGP is just insane.
Yeah.
You got an answer there from John. He said that it's not under an NDA, but they just don't dig that
Okay.
deep into it.
That's fair. Well, they definitely have enough red herring for others. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to ask after rather than before. Otherwise, you get people that are chasing, like, it's got to be from this warehouse,
yeah.
which
Absolutely. I think it's great to send it all blind. And then if a customer were to ask for it, maybe to be able to provide it if you feel like going into that level of detail. But at the same time, if it tastes good, it tastes good. Like, I don't want to be chasing numbers on a page.
Exactly. Well, and that was a fun part when we did turkey. I was like, make this the blindest you can make it, because
Yeah.
there's so much just blind warehouse loyalty for wild turkey. I was like, I don't want to know a thing. And it was interesting because we ended up picking 2Gs and there was a couple other warehouses in the mix. I was like, okay, that affirms like,
Isn't that crazy? Man.
Yeah.
it's wild. And I think that you know, if I had the time and like a Butler or like a Jeeves to do it, like I'd review everything blind if I could, but
Yeah.
like I can't. But you know, doing picks like this whenever blind, I think is super enlightening, especially like, you know, with turkey where like the warehouse is a big deal. Or if we ever did a Buffalo Trace, snow in the warehouse would be a big deal.
Right.
Like cut that out. Like I'll figure it out later. But yeah, John, really appreciate the answer. That's awesome. I didn't expect that right away, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, we got some killer products right here. These are going to be some great bottles. I mean, 5 you can't go wrong with. That's a great pick still. You know, I'm going to enjoy it. I hope I can get both, and I'm going to love every minute of it. I'd also
Great.
love to know too what, you know, in the future, is there a sister barrel next to it? What does it taste like? You know?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, right.
Who owns it? Where's it going to? Because I want to track these down.
Yeah, who
That's
got
some
that
fun
pick? Let's
stuff.
try it out.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we're just rounding the top of the hour, so we'll wrap things up. You know, we got a little bourbon to sip here. We'll hang out in the green room after. But Mike, thanks so much for dropping by. It was so great to have you. You know, last year we tried. This year we made it happen. I'm sure this won't be the last time we see you taste some bourbon for our bourbon. But yeah, thanks for coming on over. I will definitely make sure. One of the privileges our tasters get, you will definitely get a bottle of both of these. You'll get to buy it like the rest of us, but you'll actually get to buy it, which is kind of cool.
Awesome. I look forward to it. It's going to be on my top shelf. So thanks again, guys. Awesome tasting. And everyone out there, no doubt, these are the best that they got.
Cool. Well, do you have any socials you'd like to plug in before we take it away for the night? Feel free to let people know where they can find you otherwise, and we'll close down this circus.
Yeah. So we're at thebourbonculture.com. There is a bourbonculture.com, and it doesn't have but they just sell stuff from Amazon. So come visit our site. And then we use just Bourbon Culture for Facebook and Instagram. We'd love to have you come. We're trying to post everything that we can, new news, reviews, sharing other people's stuff. We just want to put it all out there and make a great site. So thanks for visiting. Thanks for liking my reviews. You know, if I get wordy, tell me. I'll scale it back. But I appreciate you all. So thanks for having me tonight.
Man, it was a wordsmith.
Yeah, John is the long word part of this project. I think for every one word I write, he probably rolls in about 10 or so. But yeah.
Yeah.
You know, maybe more than that. But thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for coming out on a Thursday. I know we usually take it for Tuesdays, but Thursdays too. I'm Jay from Take That Review. You guys can find me on Our Bourbon. You can find me on Instagram, Take That Review. You can find me online and back from vacation. Just bought a house. I'm done with that. So I'm posting reviews again. And that's just t8ke.review in your web browser, and you're good to go. So, John, thanks for producing once again. And why don't you close us down?
Yes, sir. Happy to. Thanks again, Mike. Thanks for everybody who came into the chat, hung out with us. Thank you, John, for coming in and answering some questions as well. That was great. John from the Bourbon Fighter, bourbonfighter.com. And check us out next Tuesday. We're going to be on live with the Mash and Drum. We're doing our weekly whiskey stream, and we should have a good time doing that. So I guess until that, we'll say cheers, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.